My daughter sided with her biological mom, who threatened my wife. So I stopped paying for her college and made her move out. Now, months later, she blames me for ruining her life. I turned to Reddit today, driven by an unexpected turn of events that's unfolding in my life. Years back, during high school, my then-girlfriend Gigi and I faced an unplanned pregnancy. Despite our cautious approach, it seemed fate had its own agenda. Gigi, who was passionately pursuing a modeling career, was devastated by the pregnancy. She had been juggling part-time jobs and auditions throughout college, fully committed to her dreams. Understanding the depth of her aspirations, I promised Gigi my unwavering support for whatever decision she would make. It was crucial for her to know I was by her side, regardless of the outcome. However, our situation took a harder turn when we learned the pregnancy was too advanced for termination, a possibility that crushed Gigi as it seemed to snatch her dreams away. The reaction from our families only added complexity. My parents were supportive from the start, ready to assist us in embracing this new chapter of our lives and ensuring the best for the upcoming child. On the other hand, Gigi and her mother had a starkly different view. They staunchly advocated for adoption, believing that it was the only way Gigi could pursue her dreams without the guilt and responsibilities of motherhood looming over her. Despite their firm stance, I opposed the idea of adoption, continuously reassuring Gigi and her mother that I was prepared to take full responsibility for our child, allowing Gigi the freedom to follow her career path without obligations towards the child. My efforts to find a middle ground, where we wouldn't have to give up our child, were met with resistance. Gigi was especially insistent, fearing that any involvement with the child might lead me to draw her back into the baby's life in the future. She was determined to avoid any potential drama by making a clean break, ensuring she could move forward without any lingering ties or feelings of guilt. I spent several days pleading and assuring Gigi that once she relinquished her parental rights, I would never reach out to her regarding the baby. I promised her complete freedom from any responsibility or thoughts of the child, allowing her to live her life completely guilt-free. Ultimately, Gigi and her mother were persuaded, and we proceeded as planned. After the birth of our daughter Diana, Gigi recovered and swiftly returned to her life's pursuits. My parents and I embraced the full responsibility of raising Diana. Juggling my studies and caring for a newborn was daunting at first, but I have never once regretted my decision. The joy and purpose Diana brought into my life were profound. Throughout my remaining college years, Gigi maintained her distance, never inquiring about Diana. I kept my promise, never involving her in any matters concerning our daughter. My entire focus was on nurturing Diana and securing a stable future for us both. The bond I share with Diana is indescribably special, something often said about the connection between fathers and daughters. From the moment I first held her in the hospital, I felt an instant alignment of my entire world around her. It was an overpowering feeling of purpose that she brought into my life. Despite the teasing from classmates about becoming a father too early, suggesting I was missing out on typical youthful experiences to change diapers instead, I never let their words affect me. They couldn't grasp the depth of the bond I shared with Diana, or the fulfillment I found in watching her grow and learn. My college experience, though different from that of my peers, was uniquely rewarding. I would not exchange those years for anything. Every milestone Diana achieved, every smile she shared, was a testament to the worthiness of my sacrifices. I worked tirelessly to graduate with good grades and held a part-time job to ensure Diana's well-being. Navigating single parenthood was no easy feat, and I remain profoundly grateful for my parents' indispensable support during those critical times. They were there to babysit Diana during my late-night study sessions and offered a compassionate ear when the challenges of parenting overwhelmed me. Their unwavering support was a beacon that guided me through the toughest days. Their selflessness was the backbone that allowed me to concentrate on my studies and care for my daughter without becoming swamped by responsibilities. Upon graduating from college, securing a stable job, and saving enough money, I was thrilled to finally move into our own place with Diana. It was a significant achievement for both of us. I meticulously selected each piece of furniture and decorated Diana's room with care, intent on creating a home that was more than just a shelter. It was a place for making memories and laying down roots. In those initial years after moving out, it was just Diana and me, forging our path together. Our daily routine involved me picking her up from daycare after work, spending evenings juggling dinner preparation, homework help, and the next day's lunch preparations. Over time, I mastered the art of managing everything independently. Although exhaustion crept in occasionally, prompting me to lean on my parents, I was largely self-sufficient, always there for Diana, ensuring she felt secure and loved. Parenting Diana was my utmost priority, and witnessing her joyful, thriving existence was my greatest reward. When Diana was 5, life introduced me to Chloe, who would become her stepmother and my significant other. Chloe, a kind-hearted woman who had endured an abusive marriage, brought a gentle compassion that was both endearing and inspiring. It was Chloe's loving interaction with Diana that deepened my affection for her. She not only understood Diana's importance in my life, but also embraced her with open arms. Observing the natural bond they developed and Chloe's earnest adoption of a maternal role in Diana's life convinced me she was the partner I had been hoping to find. When Chloe and I tied the knot, Diana served as our flower girl. The cherished photos from that day show her beaming, hardly straying from our side throughout the ceremony. Her joy and sweetness during such a momentous occasion filled my heart with warmth, making it a memorable day for our little circle and all who attended. The wedding was a celebration enveloped in love and support, especially touching for my parents who shed tears of joy. They had witnessed my struggles and sacrifices over the years, so seeing me forge a happy, loving family was immensely fulfilling for them. The day was marked by an abundance of love, laughter, and hopeful promises for our future together. In the ensuing years, Chloe embraced her role as Diana's stepmother with unparalleled warmth, treating her as her own. Our lives took a turn when Chloe and I bought a larger home, but soon after, I faced the profound loss of my parents due to health complications. This loss hit me hard, and during this challenging time, I found it difficult to give Diana the same level of attention as before. It was also during this period that Diana began to experience bullying at her high school. The origins of the bullying traced back to gossip among some of the parents, who pointed out that Chloe, with her blonde hair and distinct features, was clearly not Diana's biological mother, unlike Diana with her brown curls. This difference fueled hurtful rumors among her peers. Diana's classmates cruelly teased her, suggesting her biological mother must have abandoned her out of a lack of love and insinuating that Chloe might do the same. Unaware of her silent suffering, I didn't realize the extent of her distress until the situation escalated dramatically. The issue came to a head when we received a distressing call from the school's principal. Diana had apparently been involved in a physical altercation that resulted in another student's injury. I was stunned, knowing my daughter as a kind and gentle soul. Chloe and I hurried to the school, anxious to understand what had transpired. In the principal's office, we discovered that Diana had been enduring relentless teasing from a classmate for quite some time. Pushed to her breaking point, Diana reacted by throwing a stone at her bully in a moment of intense anger and frustration. Learning about the extent of the bullying she had faced triggered both anger and sorrow within me. I was prepared to confront the bully and her parents immediately, ready to defend my daughter with everything I had. However, Chloe, ever the voice of reason, managed to soothe my initial rage. Despite the bully's parents demanding an apology from Diana, I was furious, threatening legal action against them and the school for neglecting my daughter's mental well-being for so long. I argued fervently about the seriousness of the bullying and its impact on Diana, stressing that such behavior was utterly unacceptable. My adamant stance and passionate words made an impression, causing the other parents to reconsider and eventually drop the issue. I refrained from reprimanding Diana for her actions. Instead, I felt a deep empathy for the torment she had withstood and admired her courage to stand up for herself, despite the drastic measures it entailed. This incident signaled it was time to have an open conversation with Diana about her biological mother, Gigi. Until that point, Diana only had a vague understanding of why Gigi wasn't a part of our lives. I took the time to explain the circumstances surrounding our young parenthood and Gigi's difficult decision to leave. I assured Diana that Gigi's choice was not a reflection of her worth. I explained that sometimes adults find themselves unprepared for parenthood, as was the case with Gigi. Emphasizing Chloe's role in her life, I conveyed how deeply Chloe loved and cared for her as her own. always ready to support her well-being. I hope Diana would come to understand that family is defined not just by biology, but by love, care, and the unwavering presence of those who stand by us. Following our heart-to-heart, I thought Diana might put her curiosity about her biological mother to rest, but she later revealed her attempts to contact Gigi. My concern deepened, knowing Gigi's explicit desire for no contact. Despite my cautions, Diana's resolve was firm, stirring fears of potential disappointment or rejection for her. When she excitedly informed me that Gigi was receptive and eager to meet, I was taken aback by this unexpected turn of events, given Gigi's long silence. Though I shared my skepticism with Diana, highlighting my difficulty in trusting Gigi's sudden warmth, Diana's enthusiasm was undeterred. She arranged to meet Gigi at a mall and wished to go alone. I insisted on accompanying her, at least to ensure her safety and confirm Gigi's presence. Diana, though hesitant, accepted my condition. On the day of their meeting, I drove Diana to the mall, my heart heavy with apprehension. As we arrived, I anxiously scanned the crowd, half expecting Gigi to be absent. But then, Diana spotted her. Following her pointed finger, I saw Gigi, who appeared genuinely joyful at the sight of Diana. They shared a warm embrace. It was an almost surreal scene, watching Diana reunite with her biological mother. I kept a discreet distance, allowing them space yet remaining vigilant. Witnessing the genuine happiness and ease between Diana and Gigi softened some of my initial reservations. This meeting clearly meant the world to Diana, and despite my apprehensions, denying her this connection felt wrong. I stood back, supporting her silently as she navigated this new chapter with her biological mother. Gigi greeted me with politeness and gratitude, ensuring me she would bring Diana home safely after their meeting. She seemed genuinely thankful for the chance to reconnect with her daughter, and her sincerity left me feeling a whirlwind of emotions. Opting to respect their privacy, I left them to have their important conversation. Later that day, true to her word, Gigi brought Diana back. My daughter was visibly elated, her face alight with excitement from the encounter. Curious, I asked about their discussion, and Diana's response was enlightening. She shared that Gigi regretted her absence in Diana's life and was truly remorseful for her past decisions. Diana excitedly told me that Gigi now wanted to be part of her life, a desire Diana reciprocated. This revelation triggered a mix of feelings in me. I was relieved Diana had a positive reunion and that Gigi appeared genuinely regretful. Yet I was also wary, uncertain about the sudden change in Gigi's attitude after all these years. The potential effects of this rekindled relationship on our family dynamics concerned me. Chloe tried to calm my fears, reminding me that the situation was beyond my control and that we could only hope Gigi's presence wouldn't bring harm or emotional upheaval to Diana. In the weeks that followed, Diana started visiting Gigi every other weekend, carving out time for the two to bond. While I supported Diana's desire to foster this relationship, I began to notice an unsettling pattern. Diana would often request money before these visits. Initially, I thought little of it, assuming the funds were for her spending. However, it soon became apparent that Gigi expected Diana to pay for their outings. Concerned, I asked Diana why Gigi couldn't shoulder some of these expenses. Diana explained that her biological mother was currently facing financial hardships, but was actively job hunting and hoped to stabilize her situation soon. Despite my reservations about this arrangement, I decided to overlook it, prioritizing Diana's happiness and her exploration of this new chapter with her mother. I was committed to supporting Diana's connection with her biological mother without creating any undue stress or tension. My main goal was to make sure Diana felt continually supported and cherished, even if it meant making some concessions. However, I soon began to notice peculiar occurrences around our house. It began with small items vanishing, like Chloe's treasured ancestral cups and saucers, which were a wedding present from her grandmother. At first, we thought perhaps they had just been misplaced. But when Chloe noticed that some of her pricier clothing and lingerie were missing too, our worry escalated significantly. We were puzzled about where these items could possibly be going. Naturally, we asked Diana if she knew anything, but she consistently denied any knowledge, suggesting instead that Chloe might simply be misplacing things or overreacting. Due to the increasing concern, and at Chloe's urging, We decided to set up cameras in the main areas of our home to detect any potential intruders. One day, after returning from the gym, Chloe couldn't find her wedding ring, which she usually left on the bedside table for safekeeping, a practice I followed as well. After an exhaustive search yielded no results, and with Chloe growing increasingly distressed, we decided to review the security footage to see if it might reveal what happened. The video playback was startling, casting doubt on all our previous assumptions. The footage clearly showed Diana moving about the house when we were away. We watched, stunned, as she entered our bedroom and later came out concealing something in her hand. It was unmistakably Chloe's wedding ring. When I approached Diana about the theft, she initially denied everything. But, maintaining my composure, I presented the video evidence. Her face lost color as the reality of being caught became undeniable. With a soft tone, I encouraged her to explain her actions, seeking to understand the motivations behind her stealing. During the conversation, Chloe inquired whether Diana had also taken her clothing and lingerie. Overwhelmed by the confrontation, Diana broke down in tears and confessed. She revealed that her actions were driven by a deep-seated resentment towards Chloe and my marriage. Diana admitted she wanted me to leave Chloe and rekindle things with her biological mother, Gigi, claiming Gigi still had feelings for me and regretted our past separation. Hearing this, I struggled to keep my cool. I firmly clarified to Diana that she was entertaining a fantasy. I reiterated my unwavering commitment to Chloe and stressed that her relationship with Gigi should not intertwine with my marriage to Chloe. I explained that the past could not be undone and that her desires for me to leave Chloe were both unrealistic and unfair. Diana's frustrations escalated when I dismissed her suggestions. She angrily accused me of abandoning Gigi years ago and claimed that Chloe could never take her mother's place. She argued that I should consider a relationship with Gigi, fulfilling her fantasy of her biological parents being together. Her outburst was deeply troubling. I voiced my own frustrations, exhausted by her unrealistic demands after all the sacrifices I'd made. I reminded her of the love and dedication Chloe had shown, highlighting Chloe's sacrifices and her acceptance of Diana as her own. I told Diana that her expectations were not only ungrateful, but also unjust, expecting me to abandon Chloe for Gigi. The tension reached a peak when, instead of absorbing my steadfast position, Diana made a harrowing threat. She warned that unless I left Chloe, she would falsely accuse her of sexual assault and grooming, a shocking and distressing turn in our conflict. I was shocked and deeply disturbed by Diana's threat. She chillingly explained that she had learned from documentaries how such allegations could imprison Chloe for life, effectively stripping me of my wife. I questioned her sanity, given the gravity of such accusations, and Diana chillingly expressed her readiness to ruin Chloe's life to get what she wanted. She suggested that all her threats could be withdrawn if I simply agreed to date her biological mother. At that moment, gazing at my daughter, I felt a mix of disgust and fear. It was evident that she was deeply entrenched in her delusions, possibly even influenced by her biological mother. The lengths to which Diana was prepared to go to see her fantasies realized were appalling. When Chloe found out about Diana's readiness to levy false charges, she was adamant that she could no longer coexist with Diana under our roof. Chloe feared the potential irreversible damage from such baseless threats. Agreeing with Chloe, I felt a strong obligation to instill a serious lesson in Diana about the realities of accountability and consequences. She needed to understand the gravity of her actions, and I could not soften my approach after her egregious threats. Thus, I decided it was time for Diana to take responsibility for her actions. Since she was close to turning 18 and had shown such trust in her biological mother, I told her it was time for her to move in with Gigi. I committed to supporting her financially until her 18th birthday, but she could no longer stay in our home. Furthermore, I informed her that she would need to arrange her own college funding or seek help from her biological mother. Unknown to Diana, Chloe had previously set up a trust fund to cover her education, ensuring she would never need to worry about student loans. However, given her current stance, I resolved that Diana would not have access to these funds. Her actions had forfeited her right to the generous provisions we had made for her future. Diana resisted my decision vehemently, resorting to further distressing threats aimed at destroying my career and personal life, but I remained steadfast. Reaching out to Gigi, I requested her to collect Diana. Confronting Gigi about the toxic influence she had on our daughter, I saw no regret in her demeanor. Instead, she casually suggested it was Diana's lifelong wish for us to be together and hinted it wasn't too late to consider such a possibility. Disgusted by her attitude, I withdrew from any further discussion, handed Diana some money for immediate needs, and watched as she left with Gigi, her belongings in tow. Following that day, Diana ceased all direct contact, though I continued to support her financially. I later heard of her high school graduation and her acceptance into a well-regarded university on a partial scholarship. The situation complicated when Gigi reached out, urging me to cover the remaining tuition to avoid student loans for Diana. I firmly responded that taking student loans was a common and valuable lesson in responsibility for many students and suggested that Diana would benefit from experiencing this aspect of adult life. I pointed out that since Gigi had influenced Diana's drastic actions, it was her responsibility to step up now, as I had already provided ample support. I made it clear to Gigi that there would be no legal ramifications from them, as Diana was now an adult and fully responsible for her decisions. Following this exchange, I blocked Gigi to safeguard my peace. Months passed without a word from them, until yesterday when Diana contacted me, overwhelmed with distress. Despite being in an important meeting, I excused myself, prioritizing my daughter's urgent need for support, signaling a potential shift in our strained relationship. Diana revealed over the phone that Gigi had failed to support her in securing her spot at her dream university, resulting in her losing her seat. Consequently, Diana found herself working at a fast food restaurant and paying rent to Gigi, as she wasn't allowed to stay for free. During the call, Diana tearfully requested to return home and personally apologized to both me and Chloe for her previous actions. She conceded that my warnings about Gigi had been correct, but also reproached me for not better guiding her. Trusting Diana again is challenging, especially given the severe accusations she had leveled against Chloe. The fear of her potentially levying such allegations again haunts me. Nonetheless, she is my daughter, and my love for her persists. I proposed a compromise, offering to pay her rent so she could find her own place, allowing her to save her earnings rather than hand them over to Gigi. I also expressed a willingness to eventually assist with her college expenses. However, Diana's response to my offer was vitriolic. She lashed out with insults towards Chloe and me, accusing me of neglect and expressing wishes of my demise. Her harsh words were a stark reminder of the extent to which she hadn't changed. Despite her reaction, I stood by my decision, opting not to let her move back home or fully forgive her for her previous actions. Reflecting on past incidents, I recalled how Diana's attitude towards Chloe would deteriorate after visits with her biological mother, resorting to calling Chloe derogatory names during disagreements. We had naively hoped this behavior was just a phase. The gravity of Diana threatening false allegations of sexual assault and grooming weighs heavily, underscoring the seriousness of her actions. Even if Chloe is a woman, it doesn't negate the potential legal issues she could have faced had Diana followed through with her threats. Considering this, how could I possibly ask Chloe to live under the same roof as Diana, especially when Diana's animosity towards her is so apparent? It's simply too risky to consider having Diana stay with us again. My decision not to pay Diana's college fees wasn't out of spite, but rather a crucial lesson about her biological mother's unwillingness to make sacrifices for her. Moreover, turning a blind eye to a child's malicious threats teaches them that they can act without consequences, potentially leading to worse behaviors in the future. Gigi could have assisted Diana by co-signing a student loan, yet she chose not to engage. Following some advice, I've arranged to send rent payments directly to Diana's landlord, ensuring that Gigi cannot intercept these funds. Additionally, I plan to discuss Diana's educational plans with her, although Chloe will not be involved this time as it's not her obligation. Update: Diana has now settled into her new home. We recently had lunch where she earnestly apologized for her actions and acknowledged why Chloe has distanced herself. I've promised to support her ambitions to start college next year, and she is committed to working hard and saving diligently. Gigi is upset about losing Diana's financial contributions, but there's little she can do now. I've kept her blocked, and Diana is also not communicating with her, focusing instead on rebuilding her life and our relationship.